Pad section. Underneath the jog wheel we have the pad section consisting of 8 pads. Hard cue, beat loop, pad FX1 and sampler. You cannot select this on your controller, like its bigger brother, the Pioneer DDJ 400. But you need to do this in the Rekordbox software. At the bottom of the program we see the performance pad options. We're going to cover all 4 modes. Let's start with the hard cue mode. Press once on hard cue to set the pads into hard cue mode. In the previous software section we discussed what hard cues are and how we can create, delete them in the Rekordbox DJ software. Now let's see how we can use, create and delete the hard cues with the Pioneer DDJ 200 controller. With this controller we can use hard cue 1 to 8. To create a hard cue, press one of the 8 possible hard cues. Let's create a hard cue on the 17th bar in the track as an example. We use the jog wheel to move to about 32 seconds in the track and then press pad number 1. This stands for hard cue number 1. Now you see that pad number 1 lights up red. This means that the hard cue 1 has been created. Let's create a second hard cue on the 25th bar in the track. With the jog wheel we go to about 47 seconds in the track. Next press on the second pad to create the second hard cue. Now you'll see that pad 2 also lights up red. Now if you want to play the track from the hard cue you just created, you can do this by pressing the pad. Now let's delete the 2 hard cues we just made. We do this by holding down the shift button and then pressing pad 1 and pad 2. The pads no longer light up red, which means that the hard cues have been removed. Now let's go back to the starting point of the track by holding down the shift button and then press the cue button. With the beat loop, the pads automatically loop as soon as you press on one of the pads. Pad 1 is a quarter of a beat. Pad 2 is half a beat. Pad 3 is 1 beat. Pad 4 are 2 beats. Pad 5 is 1 bar, 4 beats. Pad 6 is 2 bars, 8 beats. Pad 7 is 4 bars, 16 beats. And pad 8 is 8 bars, 32 beats. If you want to switch them off, you can do this by pressing them once again. Now that we have gone through the beat loop mode, let's take a look at the pad FX mode. In our Rekordbox software, press the FX1 button to put the pads in pad FX1 mode. This function ensures that the 8 pads are now set to the first 8 effects of pad FX channel 1. The first pad has a slip loop effect of 1/8 of a beat. The second pad has a slip loop effect of a quarter beat. The third pad has a slip loop effect of half a beat. And the fourth pad has a slip loop effect of 1 beat. The fifth pad has a delay effect of a quarter beat. The sixth pad has a filter effect of 1 bar. The seventh pad has a reverb effect with an intensity of 50%. And the 8th pad has a final break effect of 3/4 beats. These effects are all presets. You can replace these effects with others or customize them by clicking on the settings symbol in the Rekordbox DJ software next to the pad FX. You can now see the effect with the corresponding beats. You can adjust this by clicking on the effect or on the beat settings with your mouse. Sampler. Now that we have gone through the pad FX1 mode, let's take a look at the sampler mode. Press on the sample button in Rekordbox to set the pads into sampler mode. With the sampler function you can load samples into 4 banks under one of the 8 pads that you can use during your mix. In total you can load up to 32 samples per sampler. To load samples to one of the pads, first locate your sample on your computer and then drag it to the desired pad in the Rekordbox DJ software. To use bank 2, 3 and 4, click in the software on one of the blocks next to bank. If you now press the pad where you've loaded the sample will be played. This will play once and then stop once the sample has reached the end. This is called a one-shot sample. If you want to change this to a loop and be able to sync the sample with the tempo of the track that is loaded on the deck, go to the software, on the sample and then click Edit. You now see a blue arrow on the right next to the waveform on the sample. You will also see an arrow that makes a circle. Click this to loop your sample, and now you see that the software immediately turns on the sync mode for this sample. The loop function for a sample is only useful if you want a beat, a song or a melody to follow the track. If you only want to hear a short sample once, such as an air horn or a short outcry, then the default settings for a one-shot playback is more convenient. If you have selected the loop mode and you want to turn it off again, you can easily do this by holding down the Shift button and pressing the pad from where the loop was started. In addition to the loop mode, there is another arrow with a broken line. This is the gate mode. If the gate mode is active, the sample will only play as long as you hold down the pad. As soon as you release the pad, the sample will stop playing right away. We've now gone through all the functionalities of the Pioneer DDJ 200 controller. We now know how the software works in combination with your Pioneer DDJ controller. Now let's prepare our first mix.